Jason. I met Jason about 6 months ago at another networking group, and he's just become a good friend, and he's a really, really good guy. I've had bad experiences at other auto places and felt like I got ripped off and jerked around, and they're really, really honest at Wayne's, and they do great work. So I really recommend that you guys support them, you know, when you have your car issues. They do a really great job.
I want to give them a testimony too, because I bought my vehicles here 3 times, and I had an expensive problem, and I came in and I said, I've got this expensive problem, and I know it's expensive, and I want you to do this. And he said, well, let's do this. Let's look at these 2 or 3 other things and see if we can rule out. So what they did is they did the 2 or 3 inexpensive solutions. And unfortunately, we needed to continue to spend money. But their first option was, let's try to get you out of here at a reasonable price. So that's not an experience that you frequently have in a place.
So I'm just going to introduce a couple people that work with us every day. We'll go from left to right. Louis is one of our new managers. So he will be running our Schrock Road location at 2375 Schrock Road, which is near St. Anne's, if you guys are familiar with that. Sean is our manager here in Powell. If you bring vehicles in here, you probably met him. If not, bring them in so you can meet them. Devin is our business development manager, new to our team. He's been here for about a month, but you guys will see him. He's going to be working with fleets and a lot of our commercial stuff. And then Dennis Booth, he's no introduction, but he's been in the business for about 100 years. He used to work at 3C Body Shop and ran their location for many years. When 3C sold, he decided to go somewhere else, and we were able to convince him to come to us to help us open 2 new body shops. So he runs our collision repair centers, and I run all of our mechanical repair centers. My father-in-law was Wayne, who I started this company with many years ago. So that is our management team here. So we like to make our networking events, we do a lot of these, and car care clinics kind of interactive. So if you guys don't mind, we're going to run out there. We get a kind of look at what we do here in the shop every day as the car comes in.
Vehicles really don't have drums anymore. They're all rotors. You'll get the drum inside of the rotor for your parking brake, but that's even going away. You've got electronic parking brake, which is part of Powell. I'm sure you guys have all heard the squeak that comes from your brakes when they get low. That's from this little guy right here. And if you ignore it too long, you get the metal on metal, which I'm sure you've all heard that too. That's the good one. If you let it go even further, then you normally use the pedal. But normally when we check them out, we use our little gauges, measure up to the pad. It tells us, you know, 4 millimeter. These ones are at 4, right before. Normally the squealer starts hitting at 3. And we recommend at 4 to replace the brake pads to avoid the caliper pushing out too far.
Well, and a lot of people want to try to save money by saying, I want to reuse this rotor and just get new pads.
Right.
Well, we do a process like he's talking about that mate those 2 parts together. Whereas if you try to replace one without the other, you're always going to get some type of squeak, grind, some type of adverse noise where we have to do the brakes again because we stand behind our product. Right. Well, we don't want to do that, so we'd rather talk you into, hey, spend an extra $30 and get that done compared to. So what happens is as you're braking, that material is kind of gathering towards the edge and it's hitting before the main material, squeaking. Try stopping from 30 to 40 miles an hour to 0 within 5 seconds, 10 times. Give a little bit of space in between there to have some airflow, cool down, but just 10 times within 5 seconds, stop from 40 to 0. And that's what's called burnishing. You're burning the rotors into the brake pads and getting rid of any,
hopefully knocking off
any burrs or any kind of built up material that's there.
This part of the inspection is essentially the most critical part of the inspection because I'm checking for some of the worst, most dangerous safety items that can happen on a vehicle. I'll check left to right, check for any play in your tie rods, up and down for any play in a ball joint or connection up here. This one's a McPherson style strut, so it doesn't have anything on the outside, but if I were to find any play, then I'd take a picture of that item, mark down what's loose, and recommend it. And these are some of the most dangerous issues that essentially just need to be repaired. Then I'll go through and I'll check your thickness of your brake pads through here on the outside. Note if I see anything going on with the rotors or the brakes that's abnormal. And then I'll proceed and top off all your tires and address any issues if there's any issue with that. Sometimes we'll even catch a nail or a screw in your tire just by noting that the pressures are low while we're here. Then I can give it a quick look over and I can spray it down with just some liquid Dawn soap and water, actually. Simple little trick, and things show up pretty quick. So at this point, if I had anything loose, I'd be looking for it under here and getting good pictures of it. Yeah, come on underneath, watch your head. So I'll be going through this with an inspection light quite thoroughly and looking for anything worn out or going on, anything leaking, especially if it's something that's leaking at a rate that can cause any kind of catastrophic failure. We'll go through, check steering, tie rods here, your suspension. We'll look for any boots on your CV axles that are throwing grease. Another thing I will do is I will check all of your sway links here. I can just grab this and press up and pull down on it, and I can feel for any looseness there. And that will eliminate some clunking noises. This is where a lot of your critical stuff's gonna be. But we'll be following it all the way back, checking the inside brake pad thicknesses to make sure that we don't have any uneven wear on those or any issues that are developing. And we'll just look for things that are leaking badly. Yeah, so we're not going after seeps here.
Do you do any voltage tests or anything with since it's a hybrid?
As far as testing it, the car actually does its own testing. So the computers in them are keeping track of the many cells inside the batteries. But there's a lot going on with hybrids that each and every one's quite different. I tend to kind of do my homework as I'm working on them because there's so many of them. We are checking the state of the starting battery health, and we're able to work on some of the generator system and the high-end AC systems on these that are actually electric motor driven. You might notice on this car, if you look down here, there's actually no drive belt. They've completely gotten rid of the accessory belt, and everything's essentially electric driven.
Assisted driving and automated sensors, a lot of automatic braking, and the importance of it is making sure that, you know, how it's calibrated doesn't read an overpass as an automatic brake or something like that. Yeah. All these sensors are all different for each different car, and they use the cameras to look at it and tell distance, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories of people getting like windshields replaced and stuff like that,
and having
nothing
to do the
working
camera
properly.
and then do the ADAS after that. Yes, it does become a little involved, that's for sure. Even replacing a mirror. Now that whole system could need reprogrammed again, and it's a whole other system. So it's well, the new technology, it's unfortunately just makes cars more expensive. And
it's evolving so quickly that we just can't keep
eventually.
So you use this system, and then you also use stuff like this, which we have multiple over there. And you put this up at the top up there, and then basically the sensors will read this and communicate through basically the system and let you know if it's working properly or if it's
That whole shelf over there is about 300 different targets for you guys for different vehicles.
Newer cars, they get more and more modules as increasingly tech goes, and we already know technology is in crazy parameters right now. So it's a comparison of 2005. Like, for example, my car outside is a 2005. That has right now maximum 14. This has well over that. In that retrospect, we always want to make sure that we scan every single module to see if in the ADAS calibration the problem at hand is related with that same code or if it's not, and then we can eliminate those codes and assess which one is the main that triggered 3 other codes.